What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block strongest man, back with my co-host Isaac from Hugger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac? And as always, we have wonderful guests for you tonight. Fresh off the Shaw Classic, Jackie Osczevski and Sean Hayes representing Canada this evening. What's up, guys?
Not much. How you doing?
Good. So for folks that in the audience that don't know you, Jackie, ladies first, how did you get into strongman? Like, what's the interesting story about how you found the sport?
Not really interesting. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I was coming off of University Ultimate Frisbee, and I convocated, and I was still competitive, looking for something to do. I did CrossFit to train for Frisbee, and then I applied to work at a CrossFit gym. And then I noticed they had Strongman. I did a little bit of research, couldn't find any female athletes in 2016. There wasn't a ton like there is today. And so, yeah, I kind of got into it through the job interview. He asked me of my interests, and I asked him about the Strongman program that they had. And later that day, he introduced me to the coach and two of the girls who were training that day. And then the rest was history. Then the coach threatened me to do his show a month later. So,
Is Ultimate Frisbee big in your area?
Yeah, Canada actually sits on the top for multiple years now. The Bunny Thugs they're kicking butt.
That's an awesome name. I love that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, just watching people play in the park makes me tired. It seems like it really requires a lot of cardio.
Yeah, this one time we were playing against the University of Winnipeg, and they have an amazing program. Like, they win year after year at nationals, and then they audition for the Bunny Thugs here in Saskatchewan. And yeah, we had them going. Like, we had a 15-minute game, or a 15-minute point, where no one came off the field, and we were sprinting football fields for 15 minutes. So lots of conditioning is required.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And what would you say is your favorite strongman event?
I like anything where I get to run, because that's my background. So that's what I prefer. So yoke, frame, farmers, sandbag, arm over arm, truck push, anything like that. I'm not a static girl. I call myself Larry Long Legs, Larry Long Arms. So anything where I can move is my forte.
Fantastic. There's plenty of that in strongman. So Sean, how about you? How did you get into the sport? What's your story?
I played football ages ago, and then went off to college. Wasn't doing much, a little bit of lifting here and there. Came back home here to Vancouver Island, and was at the gym, and I was lifting more than other people, and I was always a big fat guy, so I figured I might as well try to lift more than other people. I Googled how much other people lift, so I can compare myself like a little kid does, and I was doing okay. So that got me into powerlifting. There's no strongman infrastructure around where I live. I'm in the middle of Vancouver Island, so no one has a yoke, no one has stones, no one has anything like that. So I just stayed in powerlifting until 2017, 18. I was kind of starting to find strongman shows, not able to train, but just showing up and having fun, until I started putting together my own gym. And that's when I really got into it. Started building stuff, buying stuff, getting people to make stuff, and been knees deep ever since.
So are you you're a gym owner, like people come to your gym sort of thing, or is it just for you?
Yeah, my one car garage, there's about 10, 12 people come here every Saturday, and it's a good little it's a great little strongman community. I call it the strongest gym in BC. I don't know if anyone's going to argue that, but they can try.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, we got a similar story from Manuel Angulo when he was on the show. Like, they just don't have a lot of the equipment that some of the other countries do, so they sort of make their own stuff. It's an interesting story for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Jackie, how'd you come up with your Instagram nickname? Did somebody give it to you, or did you come up with it on your own, Jackie?
People called me that in university because I was that fitness enthusiast who had no clue what she was doing when she was 19 and 20 and 21. And I was doing crazy weird things at the gym because I was trying to bring over CrossFit, and I was trying to make my non-fitness friends fit, and so they would call me Jackie, and it kind of stuck as an Instagram handle. And when I tried to make it just Jackie with no underscores, someone who wasn't jacked at all had that handle, so I had to improvise.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for the day where I have to file the lawsuit, because I guarantee you there is no one on my block stronger than me. I am my block strongest man. So one of these days, I'm gonna get somebody to live stream it and actually have the competition improve it, make them walk around with my farmers and whatnot and stones, and we'll see.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you gonna do it as a pay-per-view like the Shaw Classic?
Hell yeah. I mean, it's probably only going to be $1, but yeah. I always say, hey, I got Tyler Cotton right up the road. I'll get a good coach and beat up on everybody.
Yeah. Follow my spicy link for the video.
Oh man. So speaking of the Shaw Classic, we brought that up a bit. Third annual Shaw Classic this year. It's getting bigger and better every year. I think it's getting the attention of all the Strongman fans and even bringing in a lot of new fans with what Brian and Carrie are doing with that show. They're, like I said, expanding it every year to make it bigger and better. This year with the open classes, both for men and women, either whoever would like to go first, talk about what that process was. Like, how did you first find out about trying to qualify for it? What was the qualification process like? I'd like to learn a little more about that.
All the athletes here in Canada and all the pros and even amateurs are all super connected. So we have multiple. I know Jackie's probably in several group chats with a bunch of different athlete groups here in Canada, and that kind of stuff doesn't go unnoticed up here. So that's how I heard about it. I heard it was a qualification. I heard it had a deadlift in it, so I was already in. So just threw some numbers out and hope for the best.
Yeah, for me, how did I hear about it? I don't even remember. I think someone shared it on their story, and then my husband was like, "Are you gonna do it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I should probably consult coach first because we have a plan going forward." So consulted him. We both were like, "Yeah, this is actually a really good opportunity." And so then signed up, and then I was training for Canada's Strongest Women in Canada's qualifier at the same time. So training for two things is luckily they coincided, and a lot of events were hand in hand. So it was an easy prep for it because it was already something we were shooting for.
And then what was it, like online qualifiers, and then they picked the top? I guess Sean, for you, it was 16, and Jackie, for you, it was 10, I believe.
So it was top 16 overall. For us women, 6 girls dropped out. So we should have had 16, but unfortunately 6 weren't able to make it. So whoever showed. But yeah, the top 16 made it. I believe I placed 7th out of the 16 online. And then I think 1 girl dropped out, and then 1 girl was invited. And then I think, I'm not too sure what happened, but yeah. So the top 16 went, and here we are.
Yeah, and was it primarily U.S. and Canada, or did anybody come from over the pond as well?
There were some international athletes for sure, but it was primarily Canada. Went hard at this. I guess we had 4 women and 4 men in the open. Gabriel Rayum got put up into the classic when he got to the finals at WSM there, but we still had 3 men, 4 women in the open, and then we had 3 Canadians in the classic as well.
Yeah, and I believe the events were max deadlift, max weight for farmer carry, 25 feet, and then 3 rep max on the log. They had to be submitted by the end of the month, and then they went through the videos and then gave the congratulation email shortly after. And and it was international as well, because like Olga was there from the Ukraine for the open women.
That's right.
It was just who was willing to make the trip, I think.
Right. Yeah, I've been trying for a while to get Olga on the show. It's just the time zones are a little difficult, but she seems willing, so that'd be a great one. I don't know how her English is, but we'll work it out somehow.
She said she's working on it. I had a chat with her because I was asking her how family was, because I think she said they're still in the Ukraine, but she's in the U.S. right now. So, but yeah, she was like, I'm studying my English so hard every single day. It's like, oh, sweetie, that must be hard.
Yeah. I've reached out a couple of times to her, Alexi, Pablo Cordiaca, because, I kind of consider you all my friends, and I care, I worry. So, definitely try to reach out for sure. But that's cool. How, not to slight anybody else, but how was it competing against Victoria Long? Because I haven't seen her ever lose anything. Like I kind of tug in cheek and kind of seriously call her the unbeatable Victoria Long.
She's a monster. Like it was honestly such a pleasure competing against her. Just because like my mindset has always been, I'm a big, like Canada's a small pond and I'm the big fish in this pond. Like I'm one of the top 3 women in Canada. Between me, Sam and Melissa Peacock, like I'm the top three. So I'm the big fish in this small pond, but I'm a small fish in the big pond. And my mindset has always been I can always learn from these women. I can always watch what they do. And Victoria just, holy smoke, she blew it out of the water. And we had some good chats in the back. Like she's very personable, very stoic too, but like she's easy to talk to, and she's a great athlete to compete against. Like she'll always give you a high five or pat you on the back when you're done. She was great to compete against, but man, I want to get her one day. I don't know if that day will come because she is tough. Holy smokes.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Sam, Sam is great. She's been on the show a bunch of times with Max and without Max. And she, like, to be within a placing of her, you did very well. Like, I mean, she sets a high bar in every event. So, like, congrats to you for hanging with somebody so accomplished.
Thank you. I like to think I'm up. I mean, I was the one when I beat her in 2017. She swore I wouldn't beat her again, but we'll see about that in October at Swift.
Nice. And then Sean, not to kind of deviate from shining the spotlight on you, but just for a moment, like Thomas Evans has really come along. He's been having some great wins too. What, talk a little bit about competing against him and how that experience was.
Yeah, he was just one of the guys there. I told him, I was talking to him before and told him how impressive it is to win the Arnold, because there's in those meets where there's 40 people in a class and then the finals and the way they do the points, if you muck up on one event, you're far enough behind. So you really consistency is key there. And they're just hard events to win. I always say, even if you go into a strongman contest, doesn't matter how many people are there, even if you're the strongest guy by quite a bit, it's still a hard thing to win a strongman contest. You need a little bit of luck on your side. You need events to fall where you need them, and you need the right events. And so that was a really impressive win is what I told him. And then to pull this one out too, back to back is, yeah, he's going to be a guy to watch next year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know, did he go pro yet? Because he was amateur at America's Strongest, right? Last year.
I have no idea how you Americans do your pro cards.
Yeah. Oh, true. That's right. It's different there. Yeah. JF Carone rules your world, right?
Absolutely.
Another great guy, by the way. He's been on the show a few times. Great guy. Yeah. Cool. So let's go through the events a little bit, Sean, if you want to go first. Like, what were the events? Because I didn't get a chance to watch it this year. What were the events? What did you feel like you did really well in? How did that all break down?
Day one opened on the deadlift, which I knew going in, even especially this style of deadlift, was going to be my event to lose, really. I only put in a few training sessions at 13-inch because I knew I was kind of going to bang out enough reps. So I ended up winning that one. Second event on day one for us was the Yoke Walk, which is another really good event for me. It went a little bit of awry last year, but I did a couple training sessions on it this year because I am splitting my events training between this and Canada Strongest Man coming up. And it felt good enough at one of them that I was like, I'm not going to fuck this up or screw this up. So I'm going to stop training it for a while and just hope it stays. The women had the Sandbag laid in there. I'll let Jackie talk about that, along with the classic men. Day two started off with a log press. Usually logs, a pretty good event for me. I came in pretty sick. I still did well, but I felt like I cut myself out of a rep or two that really would have helped me in the points. And then the frame walk was never going to be a great event for me. I was hopefully top 10. I missed that a little bit. And then the stones with the classic later in the day, which we did the same. That's an incredible set of stones. Later with the classic boys, it starts at 350 and builds up to 450. I think only 4 of the pros, the classic guys, finished it, and then one of the open, Jack Plankers did. The guy, he got second at the Arnold this year. Big guy. Overall, it was pretty good events for me. Other than the frame carry, I always call Yoke kind of the fat guy mobility event. We all the heavy guys will cite it as their favorite mobility event. And then deadlift, yeah, like I said, I won that one by a couple reps at the start there. And logs usually a little bit better, but I missed a couple.
Was the deadlift a Hummer tire like the pro guys?
I wish it was set up to be similar. Basically, it was the warm up equipment that the guys used for the Hummer tire. It was on those Rogue 70-pound wagon wheels, 26-inch wagon wheels, so it's a 13-inch pull, and then it was 800 pounds on a regular bar.
Okay. It's cool for the crowd to see a wagon wheel like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
I still wish we got on that the Humber tire. I would have loved to put a number in there.
Yeah, I heard didn't Alexi break JF's record this year?
Yes, sir. You got 12:10, and I was thinking I could pull a pretty big number on that.
Yeah.
Maybe not 12:10, but something fun.
Yeah, one of these days you'll get into the pro class and get your crack at it. James Jeffers says you're looking huge.
Thank you, James. James is another Canadian out west here. We're going to CSM together. I leave tomorrow.
Oh, nice. James, give us a shout out on Instagram sometime. You can come on the show as well. We'd love to have you on. Awesome. All right. So we talked deadlift. We talked log. Log was for reps, like a static weight for reps.
Yes, sir. It's 345, I think.
Okay. And then, so what's the deal with frame? Is kind of grip something you're still working on, or is there, something else that makes it difficult?
I don't. My brain's not connected to my hands, so my static grip. If I stand there, I went for like the Denny Stone world record one year. I did Hercules hold at CSM last year and got 5th. I think I edged Maxime Boudreau there. So I was static grip, standing in one spot and thinking about my hands and squeezing them. It doesn't seem to be the problem. As soon as my feet take a step or two, I forget that I'm supposed to hold on to something. So it usually drops. And then actually on this one, I picked it too far back. It fell, the front fell forward, hit the ground, kind of shuffled out of my hands a little earlier than it would have anyways. And then on my repick, my calluses, I cut down my calluses before for the first time in years. I don't know why. I thought it was a cool trick that I was going to do. Tore all the way up and full blood.
Wow. I mean, if you guys ever talk at all, Max can give some good tips on frame. That dude can move with a frame.
Yeah. I need to catch up because the other Canadians in the Open, Joey Lavallee and Wesley Durinsky, went 1-2 in the frame, and I was sitting there in the back end putting Canada in the shame bucket.
That's funny. So, Jackie, how did the events break down for you? I heard mention of a bag over bar. Which event did you like the best, and kind of how did that event go?
So I had deadlifts first. Deadlifts, yoke and sandbag over bar on day one. Deadlift, I've never deadlifted 500 for that many reps before. So I went in with a realistic goal of 2, and I had an unrealistic goal of 5, and I came out with 5, almost 6.
Nice.
So I was really happy about that. I'm not a self-proclaimed deadlifter. I have really long legs, and so that's a really long way to go. But I have long arms, so that helps. So it's nice to see that this weakness the gap is getting closed. So I'm excited to see how I do at Canada's Strongest this year, just because there's a car deadlift in there. And then yoke went really well. I think I placed 4th in that one, 3rd or 4th. So that one, I knew I was going to get a decent time, sub 30 for sure. And I think I came out with 25 or 26 seconds for 80 feet. So I was happy with that. And then sandbag over bar, I've never been in front of a big crowd like that before. So I think that the panic of performing got to me a little bit, because I've always performed at smaller shows. And this is probably one of the bigger ones aside from OSG, Strongest Woman in the World. But all of those were always small shows to qualify for Arnold Pro. So there was never a big turnout like this. So yeah, I just forgot to breathe. I got the first 3 over the bar super, super fast, and then struggled with the 4th one, which the weight is never the issue. The height was a little bit higher than 15 feet. So that came into play, me not calming down, the big crowd, a lot of elements came into play. So I think I placed 5th or 6th in that one. So not bad, but also not good, because I am pretty good at throwing. In Fort Mac for the Strongest Woman in Canada qualifier, I got a 35 bag over 17 feet. So the height and the weight shouldn't have been an issue, but I just needed to calm down, and I didn't. And then day 2, we started with a 200-pound log press. It was supposed to be 220, but ultimately the judges and a few of the girls, well, the majority of the girls decided to go down to 200 to put on a good show. Because if we went to 220, I think half of the women would have gotten it and the other half would have failed, and that's not a good show. So the judges made the ultimate decision to go down. Victoria wasn't happy because she's a tank, and so she was ready to rep out 220, and I'm pretty sure the only reason she stopped at the reps that she did at 200 was because time ran out. So go all of us except Victoria.
Well, I
So
think
yeah,
she and Olga tied, I think, with
Yeah.
they tied with 9 reps. But I think
Yeah.
you're right though, where the clock ran out on them.
yeah, like I'm pretty sure they could have kept going if I'm being completely honest. So for me, in training, I was hitting 8 or 9 reps at that weight, but I woke up that morning super dizzy, couldn't eat. Elevation might have had something to do with it, fatigue possibly. So I only hit 2. I almost hit 3, but I didn't. Went backstage, pretty much collapsed, had a little bit of a low blood sugar moment, ate, cried, got over it, started warming up for frame because we had to get ready for frame. And then, yeah, got ready for frame. That's never a big deal. I was training frame super wide. The bars were 29.5 inches wide, and I was training 40 inches, and I was failing at 450, I think, and our weight was 560. So I was a little panicky, and I had no idea what to shoot for with my goals. So when I emailed Carrie, she was like, "Oh, they're only 29.5 inches." I cried with joy as I brought my frame in. But yeah, I was racing Corey Butler on that one. She beat me by like 0.4 seconds. And I think I placed 3rd on that, which I'm super happy because I'm good at running events. So I'm glad that showed. And then that was the day for me. And then we came back later in the afternoon to cheer on Sean and get him ready to go for Stones.
Nice. Well, worked out well for you. 8 points on that event, right?
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I shook up the scoreboard a bit.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of Corey, she really stepped up in this contest. 3rd place for her, right? So she hit the podium.
Yeah, she did amazing. But I mean, honestly, like that's the key is consistent performance. It doesn't matter if you're like a one-trick pony, like that gets you really no points. What gets you points is being a consistent athlete. So it's Corey was consistent all weekend. She was consistent and she placed right behind Olga and right behind Victoria. So consistency pays off. Being a one-trick pony, being really good at pressing, being really good at deadlifts, it doesn't matter. What matters is consistency, and that's what Corey did.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, either of you talk about the overall experience. So for folks that weren't there, kind of what was the arena like, the fans, the ambiance, like what? Talk about the experience a bit.
Well, you can tell that Sean Carey, Brian Carey put a lot into the athletes there. There was athlete care like I've never seen before. There was a whole massage therapy, physiotherapy team. There was multiple cold tubs. There was chiropractor. There was everything you can imagine. There was ample warm-up area. The warm-up equipment was great. We didn't have to load our own plates. Not even our coaches had to load their plates because they had volunteers in the back to load all the plates for us. The arena was probably the most for at least when I did the Stones with the Classic, it was the most people I've ever competed in front of. With the big jumbotron scoreboard up there, it was a professional high level show. And then with the live stream, which I've watched back now, and the live stream's even amazing. He's hitting off on a lot of Shaw's doing it right.
Good to hear. Same experience for the females, Jackie.
Yeah, it was, and that's not tradition. Traditionally, women get shafted a lot. So the fact that we had the exact same warm-up area, we had the exact same plates, we had a dressing room just like the men, we had access to all the therapies, we had access to all the same snacks, like we had access to everything that the men had. That's never happened before in a competition, and I've been here since 2016. So almost 8 years in 2023. I haven't seen that before. And like I run rookie shows, and I try to bring that pro level experience to my rookies so that I give them a taste of what it's like, disappoint them for their amateur years, and then maybe they'll get it for their pro years. But no, like Brian and Carrie did an amazing job. Like for the women to be treated exactly the same that we are athletes, I haven't had that happen before. I think it's the same in Dubai. I was talking to Corey a bit, and she was saying that the women got treated the exact same, which is amazing. And that's honestly all we ever asked for, just to be treated the same and have the same opportunities presented to us. And that's exactly what Brian and Carrie did. And it was amazing to be a part of. And like to be in front of 40,000 people, that was unreal. Like to hear those cheers, it kind of threw me off a bit because it's It's like, what are you doing here? But no, it was pretty unreal. Like, they did a great job, and they hosted an A-class show.
That's great to hear. I mean, Isaac knows this. We've received this feedback quite a bit that women don't get the same, equal treatment, specifically backstage when no one can see it as the men at some shows. So I'm looking out for you. This is why I asked these questions. Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, am I wrong? Like, his show is now, or their show is now among the best in the world, right? It's I consider it a top world-class show. You have World's Strongest Man, Arnold, Rogue, and Shaw. I consider same level. Am I wrong?
And I was actually, because me and my kid loves Strongman. She's doing Strongman now. We were watching it, the live stream yesterday, and I was explaining to her, like, I don't, the way he picks the events, it seems to always pull out the strongest person in each event. Like the log press event was a good example where Trey was, spoiler alert if you never watched live stream yet, but Trey won the log press event by getting the last log. It was an event where the strongest guy, the strongest log presser is going to win that event. Whereas some of these other shows, the events don't always work out like that. I find, the strongest person, the show pulls it out.
It's especially for that class of guys, it's a heavy show. It's a taxing show.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely felt like he picked events that were in everyone's wheelhouse and also not in everyone's wheelhouse. So that was kind of nice to see. And I mean, if you were the strongest, it was all in your wheelhouse. So it was pretty good. But yeah, like, I would say that the amount of countries represented were about the exact same as the other top tier competitions here that are in the world.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about Brian's placings? I mean, there have been rumblings, not from me, but rumblings for years about, he should retire, like he's not where he once was. What has he proven now in his finishes for all 3 years at the Shaw Classic? What are your opinions?
If you were backstage seeing how much that guy was, I remember one event where an athlete had a problem, not a problem with the judging, but he wanted a clarification or something. He came backstage, went over to Brian, was like, "Hey, I just want to talk to you about what just happened there so we can clarify." And Brian's like, "Yeah, 1 second. I'm just about to go out and do the event." He went out, won the event, came back, and then started dealing with athlete problems and judging problems and little things that were going on, and the warm-up equipment and everything. He was doing 64 things at a time, running an entire show of that scale, and still kicking ass at every single event. The guy it was fantastic to watch, because I do that myself on a far smaller scale, where I'll sometimes put on a local show and go compete as a guest athlete kind of thing, and I know how hard it is on that itsy little bitty scale. So it was amazing to see.
Yeah, the fact that he was keeping up with the young guns now, the young guys in the sport who were coming up and really strong. And he was back there, he was dealing with athlete problems, judges problems, equipment problems, and he still took second among all these young whips. Like, I don't think he's done. I think that the shows that he goes to that people grumble about are not in his favor. I wouldn't say that all of these events he picked were in his favor, because, like, everyone had to put the work in. But I would still say, like, the fact that he was under that much mental stress and he still pulled second, that's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think he's set such an incredibly high bar for himself over his career that people look at him through a different lens than they would almost anybody else.
Well, I think especially like the 2015, 2016, 2017 Brian Shaw was pretty much unbeatable. And I don't think we're going to get that Shaw back. And I think that's why people grumble so much and everything, because, yeah, like you said, John, like, he set an impossible bar for himself. And then, he's older now, and he's probably not going to get to that point again. But I think he's still a phenomenal athlete. Like, he's still putting in massive numbers. So I don't think he's done yet.
So what do you both think of the seemingly meteoric rise of another one of our friends, Mitch Hooper?
I love Mitch. Actually, it was the first time I actually got to talk to him face to face backstage there, and he's, as advertised, he's a humble guy who knows his own talents, and he's doing really well. I'm also surprised show to show how little holes he has in his game, because he's considered a newer guy to the sport, so there's always certain events or new guys to the sport haven't quite figured out yet. I know when he did the Giants Live in the Worlds, whatever they call the Giants Live, the weekend before the Shaw there, I think that was the one where they had a circus dumbbell run where he was top 3 in the dumbbell run. And that's an event where it's kind of hard to figure out right away. So I messaged him. I said, I don't know why. I didn't expect you to be good at dumbbell as freaking well as every other event. Unfortunately, I wish he was coming to Canada's Strongest Man this weekend, and it would be real fun to compete against him.
Yeah, we've had him on, Isaac, 2-3 times now. He's a great guy. We really have a good time with him every time we have him on. Super smart too. And dumbbell, as you say, like, wasn't one of the ones that maybe came naturally to him, but he picked up tips quickly and improved really fast with dumbbell. That's good. Yeah, like you. Go ahead.
I can't think of a hole in his game right now. I honestly
No, going into Worlds, you think of him as the deadlift and the yoke guy, right? Or car walk guy. But then it's like, wait, he doesn't have holes anywhere else.
Yeah, it's great to see him and Maxime from Canada here are going to be 2 great athletes for quite a while, because they're both quite young. I don't know. Mitch is 27-ish. Max is about the same, 28, 29 maybe. So they're both quite young. Like they're not Shaw's age.
Yeah, Max is a great example of putting your mind to an event that's quote unquote weak and turning it around quickly. Like, and he's taken a lot of tutelage from JF as well. But like, he just took a year and said, JF has said to me that if you're not good at stones, it's going to be really hard to win Worlds or a Giants live show. So I'm going to go work on stones all year. And I think he's the second best stone lifter in the world after Tom right now. He's amazing with stones.
I don't know. Trey's up there too, but I think Max is definitely, stone to stone. I think Max is definitely top 3 at least with stones now. And he went from being, I don't think he got last at his first Worlds, but he did very, very poorly at stones his first time doing them.
Well, when you have one of those moments where it's like you suck and you suck big in front of everybody, you're not going to let that happen again. Like that's me for a log. That's not going to happen again.
See, this is why when I press logs, I do it in the woods by myself, so nobody can see how poorly I do. That's the trick.
Smart.
Isaac, what else do you have to ask? I've been hogging up all the time.
Not much. I was gonna ask. I know, Jackie, you posted a video of you doing a sandbag to shoulder the other day. Where was I? It was a heavier bag. Let me try and find it real quick. You said it was like a 285 or something like that. Let me see.
258.
258. Yeah. So, how did you train that? Because that's not something that I see very much of, and you made that look pretty easy. That's a pretty heavy bag.
Well, I almost passed out, so thank you. Just a lot of reps with 200, 225 sandbags. Lots of reps, lots of breathlessness. When I got the rep, my vision started to close, and I knew I had to stabilize it really fast, or I'd have to put it down and do it all over again. And I didn't want to do that. So that's kind of where the grit of Strongman came in, where you shut your brain off and you just stupid lift. And you just, So it was kind of cool. And it's, I always joke because I have a little group of girls that work out at my gym, and they're all like, "Oh, did you see that CrossFitter? She got 250 to her shoulder." And I'll walk by and I got 258. But no, like that kind of weight is impressive, right? Like it's not something that any woman or maybe men throw on their shoulders. So it was pretty fun, but like I was really happy. I think I cried after I got it because I was so happy.
It's funny because one of the other gyms where I was training at before, we just had 2 bags. So I have a 300-pound bag that I overloaded a bit, so it was like 330 or something, and then there was a 210 there. And it was hilarious how many of the big football guys and everything couldn't even get the 210 off the ground. And like I was like, there's a bit of technique to it too. And like once you walk them through it, a lot of them could kind of try and figure it out. But it was just funny because they'd be talking about their 500-pound whatever deadlift, and then they can't even lap this bag. And then I saw you do this video of it, of you just throwing it on your shoulder, and I was like, dude, I gotta share this. I gotta show some of these other guys. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I asked this just because I don't know. Is a sandbag to shoulder harder or easier than a stone to shoulder, like a natural stone to shoulder?
I don't know. Because we had an option because it was the qualifier for OSG. It was the online one, and so we had the option to do a stone or a sandbag as long as we weighed it in the video. So like the video on my Instagram, I cut short just because I wanted to keep it a reel and I didn't want to make it super long. But my submission video had like the full weighing of it and stuff like that. And you hear me swear a lot more because I was in shock that I actually got it. But yeah, I could have done the stone, and I think it's easier because you can roll it up and it's not all over the place, and it's more. I honestly have no idea. I was just I actually had to go see the chiro the next day because the sandbag knocked one of my vertebrae joints out. So that was fun. That's how I did it.
Interesting. You have super strong vertebrae. That's how you did it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sean? Have you played with both enough to be able to tell which one is easier or harder? Oh, you're muted still.
Not super heavy on either of them. I think the biggest stone I ever threw up on my shoulder was 310, and the biggest sandbag was about the same. I think sandbag. The big difference is that sandbag. I think like Jackie said, it's a grit event. If you have the stamina and the will, you could keep fighting that thing inch by inch and get it up on your shoulder. But Jesus, it takes the life out of you.
Well, it's just hard because like with the stone, at least it's not moving, and so you know where the grip is going to be. Whereas the sandbag, as soon as you grab it, all the sand starts shifting around and moving away from you, and like. So in a way, I think sand is kind of easier because you can make your own grips into the bag. But if the weight shifts too far one side to the other or something, like it's going to drag you right over, it seems like. So I don't know.
And if you have a sloppy bag and the sand is shifting all over the place, then yeah, it's good luck. You might as well go and use a stone. So.
Yeah, I think they're both tough in their own different way, I think.
Yeah, at OSG this year for the women, I think the last sandbag that we have in the row of 5 is 275. So about to PR again in November.
Nice. Yeah, I was asking because I've done it only with stones. I haven't done it with sandbags. And I got it to chest, not to shoulder, and it was 210. So I'm very happy being 100 pounds behind Sean.
Just means you got to keep working at it so that you can become the strongest man in the neighborhood instead of just the block.
Isaac, listen, I lift to my right shoulder, and that's the opposite of where I have the torn bicep tendon, so I'm good. I can keep practicing.
Ooh, you should do some bicep curls.
Does it help?
Yeah, it does.
Does it? Yeah, I'm going to get the MRI on Wednesday to find out if the extent of it, but it doesn't hurt. So
the long head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one long head reattached, and both my distals have been reattached. So
okay,
that's the only way to really consider yourself a professional strongman.
Yeah. So distal's at the elbow, right? Mine's proximal. Mine's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It looks like there's like an extra deltoid, like where there shouldn't be.
Yeah. My one with the long head came after the surgery, came back and had like some real good peak on it. That's my show arm now, so nice. I'm not mad at it.
That's your bodybuilding arm when you do
exactly.
Yeah.
Man, we can never do bodybuilding. Our bodies are so unasymmetrical because of like circus dumbbell and all. We can never do bodybuilding. It would take us years. Like I applaud Sam for doing a show because like being symmetrical, I have one side that's like one shoulder bigger than the other. So like I can kiss my bodybuilding career goodbye.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, and then I have, the scars from Atlas stones on my forearms and, random stuff on my shoulder were just scars from different things. Like, so I don't think any amount of baby oil is going to make that look good on a stage.
Brian alternates circus dumbbell. Doesn't he do both hands? Yeah, I think he does.
Yeah, I keep trying and then realizing it's not for me. Even so, when I was trying to train at this last off season a little bit, I was getting, do my regular training weight on this hand and then just like 135 on my left, just trying to figure out where the thing is supposed to go, and it's just not coming to me. And felt like an injury risk, honestly. So I didn't put too much time into training dumbbell for Canada's Strongest Man coming up here. I figured I only had about 4 dumbbell sessions to do it, so I couldn't spend the time on the left hand and trying to figure that out. But it's in the 5-year plan to figure out how to do a left-handed dumbbell.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is like when your show is so concentrated, like you want to make sure that your one side is good. Just because like you want that to be your strong side, right? Like I remember when I first started, my coach had me doing both. Because he was the jerk who would put on competitions, who would make you do alternate sides, or else you would get no rep. And so you would see a lot of people fail that event. But like symmetry is nice, but at the same time, like that's not always an option. Especially when you have a big show to train for, it's best to just train for the arm that's gonna be the most successful.
For sure. That's hardly fair, by the way. He should at least give you the 1 rep that you did before you failed to alternate.
Oh yeah, I think he did, but I think there's a lot of dudes who got 1 rep. And everyone else failed.
That's funny. But yeah, I had the same thing, Sean, obviously at a much lower scale than you, but like I can't do anything with my left hand on so I use fat grips on a regular dumbbell, but same thing. Like I can't nearly approach what I do with my right hand on the left. It just feels so weird.
Yeah, nowhere, especially maybe the first one. If JF at CSM, JF is real. He's a real good meet director. He likes to really challenge the boys. The circus dumbbell medley at CSM is the Thomas Inch, 173, and then I think it's a 200, 225, 250 loaded dumbbell, and then the Louis Cyr, which is a 273 for best time. So good luck, everybody.
Not to mention, he adds a lot of events too.
10 events over three days this year. Not so bad. Last year it was 2 days, so it was just a Saturday, Sunday, 5 events each day, and they're heavy, like WSM level weights. Like we open at a 700-pound squat for reps, no suit this year. Max deadlift. There's a backlift, which I'm super excited for. The old school, like Louis Cyr backlift, starting at 2,000 pounds. So
are they streaming this? Can you watch this?
Yeah, there'll be a live stream of it. And they make a TV show of it after. It's all in French language as far as I could find. But get yourself a French friend.
We have a French friend, Eloi Fournier from Strongman Archive, so he will help us.
Hey, he's usually there because I think he's in sort of the area.
Oh,
so
cool.
He was there last year, I know.
Yeah, it's a shameless plug. He's a buddy of ours, so I like to always shout him out when I can. So there you go, Eloi.
Good guy. He's a great guy.
Nice. Yeah, it's awesome too. Not to hold you up all night, but it's awesome too to see how quick JF's coming back. I saw him doing squats recently, so that's good for him.
It's always nice when an athlete like that can come back from injury. And I know he kind of retired or said he did, but like it sucks so much when like what you're passionate about and your job kind of gets taken away from you all in an instant. So I'm really happy to see him back at it, even if it's like 1 plate aside. That's better than nothing.
Yeah, you wanna go out on your own terms for sure. And he's such a great guy and so giving of his time that he deserves the best.
Yeah, and he was building too. Like he was getting really good on those big stage platforms. Like he was always like placing top 5, top 10, but now he was like top 3. He was on a lot of podiums, so it really sucked to see him go so soon because the Arnold looked really good for him. But
yeah, absolutely. Let's wrap it up. Sean, how'd you get your nickname? I asked Jackie about hers, and it's funny, like when I read it on Instagram, I couldn't read what it said, but when you wrote it here, it's very clear, like Sir Shonington III, right? Like, I don't know why it's easier to read here, but how'd you get that?
No, I just consider myself a funny fellow, and I went with that. Nice. No fun story.
I consider you a funny fellow
no
too.
No Frisbee stories for me.
Awesome. So what do you two have coming up soon? What's interesting on the horizon? What's your next comp? What's something exciting you have going on that isn't a comp? Anything you'd like to talk about that's exciting coming up?
Oh, me first? Okay. Well, I have Strongest One in Canada on October 13th and 14th. I don't know. It could be the weekend after, maybe the 19th or 20th. It's 9 weeks out, 10 weeks out, something like that. It's in my calendar, so that's good. I think that's on the Friday, and then there's Canadian record breakers on the Sunday, and I haven't decided if I want to do that. I might want to go for 300 pounds a hand for farmers for 25 feet, because there's a max weight farmers for 25 feet that I might want to go for, but we'll see. OSG is on my birthday in November, so we're turning 30. That's great. And then coming up on the September long weekend, we have Saskatchewan, Alberta, Strongman Amateur Provincials. And so that's not related to me at all, but, that's coming up too. And yeah, that's kind of my season. And then if things go well at SWIC, then there could be a potential Arnold Pro invite, which I'm really working hard towards, because that's kind of one of my athletic career goals, is to stand on that stage with Victoria Long again and get my butt handed to me one more time.
Are you in Alberta? Is that where you live?
I'm in Saskatchewan.
Oh, okay.
Right in the middle, right above North Dakota.
Got it. Yeah, I actually just Google mapped getting to Sean's place on Vancouver Island. It won't allow me to put it in car. Like, it's 9.5 hours by plane.
Yeah, it's a little easier to get to me. I'm in Saskatoon.
Nice. When's your birthday? I'm November also.
I'm November 9th.
All right, I'm the 11th. My dad, who passed away years ago, was the 9th, actually. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, in the U.S., I'm Veterans Day. So, like, in school, when I was a kid, I used to get it off all the time. Now I have to take it off by force.
Yeah, they'd always have treats for the kids at school on their birthdays, and I was always on the Remembrance Day week off. So I never got a birthday treat my entire school career. It was tragic.
That is tragic. That is. I just told my boss that I'm taking off, like, in out of respect for Isaac, because he's a veteran. So this is what I tell him.
That's awesome.
Sean, what do you have coming up that's exciting for the viewers?
Like I mentioned, Canada Strongest Man is this coming weekend. My flight's at 6 a.m. in the morning here. I definitely got to finish packing. Canada Strongest Man's 10 events, runs on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then there's another pro show happening in Quebec on the Sunday, which I figured why not. So I'm going to beat myself up all the way. Get back to town for the next weekend. After that is a long weekend here, and I run the Strongman for the province of BC. So we got BC Amateur Provincials. I'm going to go run that. My daughter's competing and my lady friend's competing, and lots of people from my gym are competing. So that's super exciting for me. That's honestly more exciting than my competitions, to see my little girl out there. The weekend after that, I hold another show, which is a little fall fair show, Black Creek, which is just a little hamlet just north of where I live, and I'm gonna make an attempt to take my world record back. I actually set the most unofficial way possible. I set a silver dollar world record earlier this year that Ronald Heinle took from me. So I'm gonna go in a field at a fall fair and try to take it back, super unofficially. And then just static launches later this year. I freaking love static launches. Last year was the first year I was able to do it. Ended up third behind Mitch Hooper and Gabriel Pena, and I think I can improve on that this year. So that's the rest of my season.
Exciting stuff for both.
Get a coach.
Get a coach. Exciting stuff for both of you. That's wonderful. We'll definitely be staying tuned. Any of that has links associated with it that we can share for you, please feel free to share them with us, and we'll share them with our audience. And I've had a blast. We've had such a great time talking with you both. Thank you so much for making the time. And how do people follow you? That's most important.
Sir Shonington III on Instagram is the best way. I'm a big branding continuity guy. Can't talk, but so it's the same one you see here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's jacked__Jackie on both TikTok and Instagram. I probably make more content on TikTok because it does not talk about global pandemics or politics. It's quite the lovely platform.
I'll see you on TikTok. I'm there as well. So is Isaac as well.
All right, let's follow each other.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to both of you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Cheers.
All right,
Thanks
for everybody watching. Ciao, homie.
See ya.